Hey y'all, welcome to the Honesty Circle, the safe space to discuss growing in adulthood, mental health, faith, and all the things in between. It's your host, Sierra Elise, and I hope you're taking care of not only your mental and spiritual, but your emotional and physical health so you can be your best self this week. Hey y'all, welcome back to that episode of the Honesty Circle. It's your girl, Sierra Elise. I hope you're having a great day. I've had a great day today. I hope when you're listening to this, whenever you're listening to this, that you have a great week. Whatever time of the day you're listening to this, I hope you feel encouraged. And yeah, know that God loves you. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about managing our stress. Okay. Now listen, I am no expert. Okay, at all. While I'm not an expert, I'm just speaking to what I know and what I've researched, because you're listening to someone who is the queen of stress. Okay. Now I'm working on it, which is why I'm doing this episode, because I'm speaking from what I literally know from my lived experience. Okay. But I did want to kind of share some context from the World Health Organization, also known as WHO. So how to define stress? They define it as stress is the state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. They also share that stress is a natural human response that prompts us to address challenges and threats in our lives. So think about it. When I read that, I immediately thought about when I was in school, right? And you have a lot of tests going on, no matter what grade it was. Like, it could be high school, it could be elementary school. Everyone feels stressed, but you have a lot of things, a lot of assignments, and you just don't know what to do, what's going to get done, how it's going to get done. When I tell you, that used to kick me into overdrive mode. And I do find that they always say they work better under stress, which is why people procrastinate. Because stress gets you to address that challenge head on. And maybe you wouldn't have addressed it in that way. So even thinking about the assignments, it gets my stress levels a little high right now, but we are okay. And there's levels to stress. Like, not everything, every stress that comes in your life is on a level 10, or not everyone is always on 1,000, or like the highest level of stress. Because we always also know that there is some low level stress that happens every single day in life. And so when I'm thinking about managing stress, I'm more talking about the level 10s, and how can we help ourselves to not be on level 10 365 days of the year, right? Like, no one wants to feel that level of, stress that often. And so I just think it's important to know how to manage your stress, things you can do, tips, different mindset. Like, there's so many different things that you can do. And it's also an individual journey. Like, what might work for you and to manage your stress might not work for me, and how I manage and, keep my stress at a low level. But, so that's just kind of what I think about. So when you think about stress, like I said, everyone has some level of stress on a regular day. But I think of it as a sliding scale. Like, there's different levels to it. So you have the ones, which is maybe like, oh, I'm running a little late, I'm getting a little stressed, right? Then you have the level 10, that's maybe like, I have, even a school example, I have 3 tests all the same day, and I need to make sure I'm studying, but I also have a paper that's due the day after the day that I have all the tests, and I also am involved in something else, so I have 3 meetings at the same time. So like, that is maybe like a level 10 to me, right? But what your level 10 is might not be a level 10 to me. So I want you to think about this. Think about, what things get you to a 10, what things have you around a 7 to 8, what has you to like a 5 or 6, like what has you at different levels. And also think about this. Where do you find yourself when the flip switches? Where does the pressure feel too high? Because maybe for you, a level 7 might be where you're like, oh, whew, the level 7 is already too heavy. A level 7 is already too much for me. You may not always go to 10, but like this is a 7, but how I respond to my 7s, it's a hard way to respond. And so when it comes to 10s, for me and for you, when you think about what your 10 is, because my 10 is not your 10, but just think about the 10, level 10, right? When you think about the 10, what can we do? What do we do when we feel that it's increasing before it even gets to a 10, right? Because it does steadily increase. Like, like I said, there's the everyday stresses, and then it starts to build up. And then a lot of times it gets to a level then that's where we're acting, that's when we're like, okay, we got to get it together, or dang, I need to do something. Hey, what am I going to do about this problem? So think about where it starts to like exponentially increase too, because it might exponentially increase for you. Like it might go from a 6 is okay, boom, a 7, you're way too high, and then an 8, and it goes worse up from there. So think about this in your own life. And so when I'm talking about things today, I want to make sure that we're talking about like the high levels of stress, or when we're feeling it increase. What can we do to not have it get to a 10 every single time? How can we manage our stress levels so that way we're not at a 10 365 days of the year? Maybe we're on a 10 days out of the year, right? Like maybe that's like not the most realistic, but we can only hope, right? Like maybe it's once a month you're actually on a 10, or maybe it's once every 2 months that you're actually on a 10. But we want to minimize how often we're at our peak level of stress, because we also know that stress does affect our actual body. Like you can feel stress within your body. And so it's important to not let yourself get to those high levels of stress. So what is causing your stress? Think about it. I want you to think what actually causes you to have stress on a day to day. And I want you to really write a list. Like don't just think what gets you to a 10. Think about what are the things on a day to day basis that give you some level of stress. And also think about those one-offs that might happen, or things the last time you did feel the most stressed. What did you feel? Why did you feel that? And where did you feel that? Okay. I know for me, sometimes I get stress headaches where my brain I actually will get a headache because it hurts. Like I'm that stressed. I also know that my stress does hold in my shoulders. So when I'm like super tensed like this and I need to like fully relax, our body holds our stress. And so what can we do to make sure that we are doing what we can to manage that? And so when I think about managing stress, I kind of have 3 separate categories, okay? 1 is the mindset, 2 is God, and 3 is actual tips to manage. And I say that because the tips are always going to be different. God is always going to be in the equation, like no matter what. Like there's never a time where God's not in the equation, or that he didn't give you some information in the Bible to help address that. So, and then also why I say mindset. And so I really think I want to start with mindset. This is something that I personally had to work really hard on, and I'm also still working on. Someone very important in my life has helped me with this truly, about how we're perceiving the stresses in our life, right? I think our perception of what it is and our perception a lot of times will make it escalate. And like I said, I'm speaking to someone who will jump from 1 to 10 in 1 second. Like I go to 10 a lot, almost 100% of the time. And so that's why I've been working so consciously of, okay, I can't keep going to a 10. I can't be every time about to cry which is another way I respond in my body. I can't go to a 10 every single time. And so my mindset had to change on how I'm perceiving what is going on around me. And I say that because not everything is happening to you, but it's happening for you. So, like all these things coming on my plate, it's not happening to me. I asked God for this, right? I asked to be more successful and to, whatever it might be, but you never know how this is God showing up for you in a way that you probably prayed for. And so the mindset and how you perceive the things, and not to say it's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, it's reframing that everything is not on a highest level. You're still alive, you're still breathing, and a lot of times you're going to figure it out. You are. And even if you need help to figure it out, that is okay. But the important part is is the way you perceive it. So that way, you're able to be level-headed and figure out how you're going to tackle the challenge. Because that's what stress is. There's a challenge arising, and it's, okay, how I'm going to overcome that challenge. Because there's no challenge that's too big for you. There's not. There's no challenge that's too hard for you and God to overcome. Let's keep that in mind there. So mindset would be my first thing to kind of think through of how you're perceiving the realities around you. So that way you can really start to not control, I wouldn't say control, but like manage your expectations a little bit, right? Or your mindset, 'cause like also where you keep your mind is super important in life and things like that. And I'm growing in that area, I will say. I take things very personally a lot of the time. And so knowing that everything is not that deep, some things are really that deep. Now they really are, but knowing that you can do it. And be confident, like back to the episode last week, you have to also be confident in your ability and your knowledge that you can overcome it, right? So that's a part of the mindset. Now, the second one is God, obviously, because God, a lot of times when I'm stressing, I know for myself, I can't speak for you, but when I'm stressing, a lot of times it's me trying to control something that I should be putting at God's feet. Right? Like I shouldn't be trying to do everything and, have a plan for every single step of the way and all these things. I shouldn't be trying to do that. Let God do his job. Let God have his role. Let God have his job back. And I'll say that every single time. Give God his job back. And so it's important when you are considering God in your stress management. It's laying it at his feet, but not picking it back up. Right? Like you can't when you're thinking about stress, it's a burden. It's something that's a challenge. If you trust that God is going to help you figure it out, trust that. You can't say that you're going to trust it and then try to pick it back up and carry it with you. Lay the burden down, give it to God, and leave it there. Leave it there. Don't think that you're the superwoman, the superman. Leave it there. Okay? Leave it there. So it's just very important that you are including God in that stress management. Now, there are scriptures. I can't think of it on the top of my head, but there's one that talks about like don't worry and pray about everything. I can't think of the actual scripture, and I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. It's okay. But make sure that we are seeking the Bible for that as well, because there's so many characters in the Bible that went through stressful times, but watch how they responded. Watch how God showed up for them. And a lot of times you think there's not a challenge that you and God can't handle. So let him handle it with you. Don't think that you have to handle it by yourself. Don't think that you are not able to ask him and seek him and he won't give you what you need to help overcome that. Like he literally will. He'll give you either a plan, an idea, people. Like I'm not even going to put a limit on the ways in which he can help you. Just know that he can help you, period, at the end of the day. Okay. So God is number one, I would say. So I should put him number first, but God is number one in your stress management. Then we're going to think about mindset, but we also want to talk about the tips, right? Think about the tips. Like I said, now I'm not a professional. This is just what I've gathered. This is also what I do to help manage my stress when I also need some practical things. Okay. So one, I take some breaks. Take a break. If you're in the office while this is happening, if you're in your apartment, if you're at school, whatever it is, take a break. Whether that needs to walk around, because also moving the body's on here. Because I said the stress is also pent up in your body. So sometimes moving your body helps relieve that stress, right? Sometimes shrugging my shoulders or stretching my neck out will help me relinquish some of that stress that I'm holding in my body. So take breaks. Another one, my mom would love this, so shout out to my mother when she hears this, is take a deep breath. When I tell you, me and my coworkers do this heavily, because I used to joke my mom, I'm like, girl, I don't want to take a deep breath. And now I'm like the deep breath queen. So my coworkers would be like, let's take a Sierra breath. Like that's what they literally say. And I forget what she calls it. It's like diaphragmatic breathing. And it helps activate some nerve in your brain, like the pressure. I forgot what she said. Basically, there's like a pressure, there's a nerve, and when you take the deep breath from your diaphragm, it releases pressure off that nerve. Okay. I could be butchering this. So mother, if you hear this, please comment. Or if you know, please comment below, on Instagram, on YouTube, and share what it is. I can't remember the exact thing, but point is, I'm not going to lie. I don't mind. I know the science behind it, but I do know it makes me feel better 100% of the time. Like every time, like my back feels like it's up against the wall, or I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so annoyed. I'm so stressed. I'm so whatever. Boy, I take that deep breath. Let's practice a deep breath. Let's do it together. Okay. If you're watching, if you're not driving, please close your eyes. You take a deep breath in, hold, and out. You feel better already, don't you? I know I do. Okay. That I actually just released so much tension right there. So take a deep breath, take a break, take a deep breath, move your body. You can practice mindfulness and meditation. Also cut out distractions. Cause I think that's another thing too. It's also, if you feel like you don't have enough time and you feel like your back is up against the wall, how are you spending your time? Are you on TikTok too much? Are you binge watching a show when you should be doing your work? We can't complain about not having enough time if we're going to have all these distractions that are taking away from what we should be doing. So maybe it's about cutting out some distractions in your life. Another one too that I think we don't think about is a daily thing that you can do is daily unwind from your day. Okay. Make it a daily thing so that way you're not carrying the stresses of yesterday into your today, or in your tomorrow, whatever. So make sure that at the end of the day that you are releasing and letting that go so that way you can go to sleep and you can wake up feeling refreshed, feeling that it's not something that is continuously carrying you, another weight that you're still holding on to. And so how you unwind is truly up to you. I've like do different unwind routines. Like sometimes it's sit on the couch and literally ice out the whole world. Sometimes it's cooking a nice meal. Sometimes it's cleaning my house. Sometimes it's, having that and more increasing my quiet time with God. Sometimes take a nice hot shower, an everything shower where you're doing the deepest clean of life. That shower. But it really doesn't matter how you choose to unwind. It just needs to be a way that you personally are unwinding. Okay. And make sure that you're doing that on a day-to-day basis. So that's just my list. There's so many more things that you can do, but just make sure that you're also feeling your body too. That's one thing that I've been trying to be intentional about when you're feeling stressed. Like, are you eating? Are you drinking water? Still make sure you're taking care of your body and yourself, because like I said, because you have a physical reaction to stress, you want to make sure that you're still pouring in and giving yourself the nutrients that you need and that your brain needs to fully function at a high level. Okay. So yeah. So you think the next time you're stressed, I definitely just want to make sure, refer back to this episode. Maybe you're not stressed right now. Maybe you're stressed next week. Maybe you're stressed next month. When you have that moment, come back to this episode and make sure that you are practicing some things that we're talking about. And it is a trial and error. Like, you might not know what works for you right now, but do some things. It just takes some effort to fully try to manage your stress. Okay. So that way you are not going to spiral, because no one wants to be spiraling. I don't want you to spiral. I want you to be healthy and confident and the best version of yourself that you can be every single day. Okay. So that's it for this week's episode. C's 2 cents for this week is I really want you to reflect on the stresses in your life and what is the source of those. I don't want you to think about what it is, but also why does it stress you out? Why is that a level of stress? And also, how can you minimize that stress? Now, that could be through a specific technique that we talked about today. That could be through, maybe it's something that you don't need to have in your life anymore. There's so many different things that can help you minimize that. But it is important to just know where those stresses are coming from. And it doesn't have to be a technique that I mentioned. It can be literally anything. But what I do want you to do is to have a list of things that you want to refer to every time you're stressed. So even if it's not this episode, it could be a notes app in your phone. I know I've heard different kind of people talk about having like a box of like a stress box. So it's like when I'm stressed, I have a stress ball, I have maybe a fidget spinner, maybe I have like a journal in there. But just something that you can refer to when you're stressed. So that way, when you're stressed, you're not trying to like in a spiral of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to try. You can refer back to this thing every single time as something, as a resource for you to be able to manage and control and to help bring yourself back down so you're not at a level 10. Okay. Or if you feel like you're at a level 7 and it's still too high for you to manage right now, you just want to make sure that you have a resource that you can go to help you and help yourself. Okay. Now you can take my advice or not. That is just my 2 cents. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. If you like anything that you heard, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And make sure that you're following us on Instagram at The Honesty Circle with the underscore at the end to stay updated on Circle News. Thanks again so much for listening, y'all, and go conquer your week. Love y'all.